Hi Aquarius, and welcome to your reading for the year 2019. This is a general overview reading for the year, just capturing a few different areas of your life, and hopefully it will be of use to you guys. My name is Melanie and welcome. Today I'm using two different decks of tarot cards, of cards. The first is a tarot deck called Tattoo Tarot Ink and Intuition, of which you can see most of the cards there. And the single card off to the left there, I use these cards. These are from the Dreamtime Reading Cards deck. The Dreamtime is the Aboriginal Australian spiritual belief system, and I use these cards more as like oracle cards. And we've got a card there representing the overall theme for the year, but I'll be going into that card more specifically towards the end of the reading. So this may or may not resonate with you. Take what you like and leave the rest. Like I mentioned, it's a general reading, so if it doesn't fit for you, no problems whatsoever. But I encourage you to perhaps check back on the reading in a few months, see if it rings true or not. Let's just dive right in. So the cards that came through for you include this first one here, which is representing last year, 2018, past energy, lessons that may have been learnt, the focus of last year. For that, you guys had the Seven of Wands card. Across the top and moving into 2019, in the first area there of love and relationships, you have the Queen of Coins or the Queen of Pentacles. The second area representing money and finances this year for Aquarius, King of Swords. In the area of work or study or hobbies, the Three of Wands. In the area of spirit and spirituality, you guys have the King of Wands. And finally, in the area of health this year, the Seven of Coins or the Seven of Pentacles. The two cards in the bottom right hand corner there are representing possible obstacles that may come up for Aquarians this year, the Chariot card. And finally, possible helpful tools for you guys this year, the Justice card. And the overall theme card there from that Dreamtime reading deck, you got the card called Red-Bellied Black Snake, and that represents independence. So what do these all mean? When these cards came through for you, and sort of looking at them in a broad sense, I noticed that you have two Kings, you have three Wands cards as well, and three Seven cards. So you've got the Seven of Coins, Seven of Wands, and the Chariot is the Seven card. Sevens represent pausing, waiting, patience, the need to revise and review things. So maybe this year, this will be a year about that, about having to pause and kind of reflect and kind of review where you're at, and maybe things are kind of going in different directions and you're just kind of having to hold back and just see how the cards fall, really, and just be as patient as you can with that. You've got two Kings, so I thought you had quite sort of strong energies in the areas there of money and spirituality this year. Kings are obviously leaders, rulers, authority figures, father figures, that kind of thing. And the Wands cards, of which you have three of Wands, Seven of Wands, King of Wands. Wands are about your passions, your creativity, your motivation, your energy, your power, the spontaneity, inspiring kind of energies. So I think quite strong energies coming through this year with the Wands and the King's cards, but also a need to perhaps for restraint or that will be placed upon you in some way, and you're just going to need to pause a little bit at times. Anyway, let's break them down one by one. So going into 2018 and the overall, perhaps some the overall focus or what you guys had to work on or work through last year, you have the Seven of Wands card there. The Seven of Wands is a card about standing up and rising strong in yourself against people who doubt you or who don't believe in what you believe. It's about pushing ahead and persevering. It's about challenge and competition and having a sense of being a bit under attack from people around you, but you were strong and you're in a position to defend yourself. You overcome challenges even if it was against the odds. Maybe there were some quite significant challenges last year, but you have a lot of personal integrity and you were quite strong in that, and you were able to sort of essentially win or get through those challenges and get through those doubters, whether that's your internal doubts or more specifically sort of external doubters around you. You're able to defend yourself in that way and come out on top. Perhaps you use some creative solutions to get through any kind of hurdles or bumps on the road there. Yeah, it's a card of sort of you're almost like you're being tested in terms of what you believe in, and your belief system's being put to the test. So I'm not sure what happened for Aquarians last year, or if, you know, in that something really shook you, and the path that you were on or wanted to be on, people will disagreed with you somehow, or a few spanners got chucked in the works, or your own head was yelling at you all the time saying you can't do this, you can't do that. But essentially this card is saying you got through that. You're a strong person, you have a lot of integrity, you believe in yourself, and you've sort of come out on top, even though it was a bit of a bumpy ride and you had to defend yourself against the disbelievers. So, wow, that sounds a bit exhausting, really. So I hope that that's sort of passed for this year. Moving into 2019, in the first area of love and relationships, you guys have the Queen of Coins. So this Queen represents all things abundant and fertile, wise. This is coins and pentacles being about the earth signs and earthly grounded solid energies. The Queen itself is typically a woman, you know, who is wealthy, opulent, you know, luxurious, has a lot of dignity, a lot of grace, you know, there's sort of riches around her. There's quite a dependable, resourceful energy about this card. It's about your rewards paying off for efforts that you've put in. This Queen is, you know, she's very homely and motherly. She offers a lot of security and safety in a grounded, down-to-earth, sensible kind of way, very typical of the coins or the pentacles suit. It's about, she fundamentally symbolises abundance and kind of earthly, sensual, practical, finer things in life. Energy. So in the area of love and relationships, this may mean that if you're in a relationship already, you'll be feeling this year very secure, very grounded and confident in that relationship. Possibly the two of you will be enjoying the finer things in life. There may well be some money around for you guys, or you've worked hard and you have some money, and you'll be able to really kind of splash out a little bit. You know, go to a fancy hotel, buy some new things, go on a trip. And because she does represent, you know, abundance and financial riches and grounding. If you're single, this card can suggest that that you can be quite selective this year in who you choose, because you want something solid and real, and the efforts you have put in perhaps on yourself, to work on yourself to get you in a grounded, more solid, strong position. Not only pay off, but really encourage you to be very selective. Obviously don't set your standards too high, but perhaps if you've had a few dodgy relationships or flings or whatever in the past, and you've thought, what am I doing? I'm not treating myself well. With this card, you're saying that you are now moving away from that and in a solid position of who you are and who you believe in and what you deserve. So choose wisely. Essentially, you're feeling quiet, whether you're single or in a relationship or a dynamic of some sort. You're feeling very confident and capable in love this year, and you need to find or be with a partner who is on the same level of you as you and is able to sort of enrich your life in some way, being a card of riches. Of course you could, if you're looking for a female partner, you may actually meet someone who represents the Queen of Coins. So she may well have money, but be quite grounded and solid in that, and just feel very kind of earthly, wise. She would be very trustworthy. Perhaps a earth sign female woman too coming into your life. A woman who's quite hardworking, got good business sense, very dependable, but also very homely and motherly, and she doesn't put too much pressure on everyone else. Oh no, she might actually, being a woman who has achieved stuff, there's always the tendency for that person to then kind of project that stuff into others and kind of have those expectations. But either way, this is quite an emotionally stable card. Heads up, it can represent a possible pregnancy or new events in a relationship. And perhaps in a relationship this year, you'll be focusing not just on being able to sort of spend some money, but you could perhaps focus on your home or your house this year, because if you have financial abundance, you might be working on your house as well, renovating, creating something new there. Moving on to the second area, money and finances. You guys have the King of Swords, king, really kind of position of strong leadership. This king, this is a swords energy, so this is a clear thinking energy of power, of truth, of authority, of transformation, but essentially having a really brilliant mind. This king could be there could actually be a man in your life this year who advises you in some way on financial matters, and this could be someone, or you may be involved in come across a man in like a business sense, or like someone like a judge, a lawyer, a doctor, an advisor, who's very analytical, who can be quite controlling, but essentially has got a very sharp mind, is mentally at the top of his game with a really good intellectual focus. There's a lot of clarity and vision in this card. So I think essentially he represents, you might be not just top of your game financially this year, but really looking at your finances with an analytical, logical, controlled way. There may well be a lot of, what was the word I was going to say? A lot of structure, perhaps, to your finances this year, and kind of pulling no punches, really seeing things, wanting to see things very clearly, not kind of getting, you want, there's kind of no emotions attached perhaps, or far less emotions attached this year to the area of money and finances, instead coming in with this kind of sword energy of clear communication, a really clear mind, a lot of sort of independence and reliance in that area, but having clarity and vision about where you want to go financially, and potentially working with someone who is in a position of authority, perhaps about money. So really good, solid card, with a lot of head stuff going on around that, but really clear head stuff, to be able to logically work through where you need to be or where you are with your money, which I think is interesting, coming back on the next to the Queen of Coins there. If you're in a relationship or meet someone who has money and wealth and abundance, and obviously a really good way to manage money is to be very clear, rational, analytical, solid thinking about that. Just be mindful not to be too, restrictive with it, and use money for good things. Obviously, the King of Swords, it can also represent transformation after perhaps a lot of alone time there. So maybe you're now coming out and sort of perhaps you've been bunkering down and saving money, perhaps on the back of 2018, and feeling a bit under attack. You've had to kind of protect yourself and put up some walls, defend yourself, and now you're being a bit, you're kind of seeing your head's poking out through the clouds now, and you're transforming in some way, certainly financially, but in a really clear, logical, grounded kind of way. Moving on to the next area of work, study, hobbies. This year, for Aquarians, you guys have the Three of Wands. This is a card of freedom, of adventure, travel to foreign lands, business, cooperation and success, being quite busy, being on the go, but your troubles have ended. There's a ceasefire, your ships are coming in, you're now waiting for them to return, you've done the hard work, it's paying off. There may have been some disappointments and some bumpiness, mixed loyalties, which I think maybe comes up in the Seven of Wands for last year, but now you can see the end in sight. In fact, you're looking ahead. So you have now foresight. You're planning ahead. There's an area now of growth and expansion in this area of your life, of work or study. You can see the end is in sight. You're on this sort of, you have a really strong sense of reward and stability right now. You're quite independent potentially, you're going your own way. You have now more, and this year you might have a lot of self-confidence and self-belief in yourself. Interesting, on the back of the Seven of Wands for last year, and being challenged in that way. Because this card can represent sort of adventure and travel, there may well be some opportunities this year in the area of work or study that are overseas or in your hobbies. You may travel overseas for work, like on a business trip, or there may be connections overseas or in the area of work, or just, just considering people and I don't know, businesses and services that are overseas, or even, over east or over west, wherever you are, kind of thing, over north, down south, whatever. Things like overseas trading or expansion. Essentially, this is a card of expanding your horizons. You're standing on top of the mountain now, you've climbed that mountain, you're looking out ahead of you, you're kind of pausing, you're going, wow, I can now finally see my ships coming in and the rewards of my hard work, and where am I going now, and having quite clear vision around that, which I think fits quite well with that King of Swords in the area of money. Very clear thinking and clear vision now. You've kind of reached the top of your game in a way, and you're wanting to shake things up and expand your horizons a bit, and potentially quite broadly this year in the area of work. So that's, I think, super exciting. Moving into the area of spirit and spirituality, the King of Wands came out for you guys, another King's card, and the Wands card. The King of Wands, the Wands are, like I mentioned, the fire signs, very representing matters of the soul, passions, creativity, motivation, a lot of energy, spontaneity, inspiration. This king being a leader, this is like a natural born leader, having vision and charisma, being quite educated and wise, having a lot of energy. This is also a man. You may well meet a man like this year, who is able to sort of guide you spiritually in some way, or that you connect with in some way. A man who's quite, or a person, it doesn't have to be male, but a person who embodies the qualities of this card, who's quite secure and stable and quite committed to their spiritual growth, or that you will be this year, and you'll have a lot of intuitive strength this year. There's a lot of sort of courage and passion and loyalty in this card, in a more of a traditional way, but in an adventurous kind of way. He's quite intuitive, so this tells me this year in the area of spirituality there'll be a lot of I think passion in this area, but a lot of intuition that you're really tapping into in a really solid way, and perhaps using really creative ways as well to reconnect or build or expand on your relationship with the divine, whatever you choose to believe in there. You may come across, like I mentioned, someone who's a helpful spiritual advisor, or some sort of father figure that is quite fiery and passionate, but funny as well. So I think you're well on your way on your spiritual path, just with this kind of Wands energy. Just a caution not to rush into things too much with that kind of fiery passion kind of thing. Just got to balance that out a bit, because fundamentally we're all on a journey in our lifetimes. So it's important to make sure you stop and smell the roses along the way, and enjoy and really relish those sort of quiet moments of connection with the universe. And as I said that, I just thought that was really interesting with those sevens coming up there, suggesting that there may be, or there may need to be, a little bit of pausing and reflecting this year, and the need to be patient. But fundamentally, I think it's a really kind of cool card, I think, to have in the area of spirituality. Such kind of passion and drive there, and a lot of loyalty as well. Finally, in the area of health and kind of physical body stuff this year, you guys have the Seven of Coins, or the Seven of Pentacles. This is a card of growth, of progress, of profit, of just pausing for a little bit and enjoying the fruits of your labour. You've been toiling away, you have some vision, and you've had some vision and perseverance. This is kind of the typical meaning of the card. And now you're kind of just stopping to and be patient, just to kind of check out the hard work, and to know that if you keep going, and focus on the end result, you'll get there. So it's a good time to just, certainly in terms of health, because this is a card of just kind of pausing a little bit in amongst the hard work, reflecting on the stuff that you've been doing so far. In health, it would obviously indicate a good time at some point this year to pause and take stock of your health, take stock of your lifestyle, doing a bit of an evaluation, a bit of an audit, review it. Where do you want to go? You know, what's working and what's not working health-wise for you. This is a card of manifesting as well, of being able to have quite good powers of manifesting. So if you'd like to change anything in the area of your health and your body this year, you with that kind of pause, reflection and evaluation of things, you're well and truly able to do that. So I guess that would be doing some research, doing some visualization, and actually doing the work. You know, once you've kind of sussed out, you know, what plan do I want to follow this year, or how am I going to go about this, you'll be able to get there. This card potentially too is a card of growing something, of gestation, because you have been working on something on some levels, so, and kind of nurturing and growth in that way. So, but also just to considering it could be about gestation, be mindful of pregnancy if you don't want to be pregnant, but if you do, this is a good omen, I suppose, in that area of fertility, because things have already been growing in a really positive, strong way, and now you're kind of just pausing for a little bit to kind of suss out, give yourself a little bit of a rest, but then kind of look at, do I need to change things up a little bit? Do I need to do a different exercise regime? How's my diet? You know, do I need to do some more meditation? Do I need to do some more self-care? You know, good year though to take stock of that and to create whatever you want. Moving into possible obstacles that may come up this year, you guys have the Chariot card. Chariot card is a card of exploration and expansion, you know, beating the odds, beating the competition, power, control, drive, you know, movement forward. This is a chariot, you know, there's a lot of action and forward motion here. Possibly getting through some obstacles and some ordeals against overwhelming odds, but fundamentally quite a strong driven energy of going places. In terms of it being an obstacle, just be mindful of not rushing ahead too much with things, and moving too quickly and kind of burning yourself out, because you need to balance, balance that kind of energy to move forward and not burning yourself out, and then being too slow with things and not getting where you want to go. This is a card encouraging you to balance logic and emotion, and not to stop. You know, if you burn yourself out, obviously we're kind of first forced to stop, but to encouraging you very much to persevere and continue on. So maybe at some point this year you may just want to throw in the towel. This card can potentially suggest that a life lesson is going to be learnt this year, and there may be a rough patch and you want to kind of either rush through it or get out of it in any way, shape or form. But this card encourages you to persevere with balance, because if there's lessons to be learned, if you don't sort of face them and go with that flow, it's going to happen to you anyway, and probably not in a way that you hoped. So you can either fight against that, or you can kind of accept some changes and whatever may happen this year. But just be very careful to balance that need to drive in there and rush through things. And considering you've got some Wands cards this year, there may be a lot of passion and drive in certain areas, and you are going to kind of want to just kind of, you know, I just want to get through these kind of hurdles and these difficult kind of times. But that's not the way to do things, because mistakes can be made very easily, and we can't see things as clearly when we're super busy and super rushed. I think there will be some changes coming up this year. I know that's ridiculously broad. I mean, of course, there's changes for all of us all the time, really. Possibly some travel. I really do think that's related to work. I guess with those changes, like I said, they perhaps need to happen. and just kind of cruise through them. You know, maybe put the cruise control on. Don't charge ahead with these. What are these? You've got some, you've got horses on that card there, but on the other card I have in front of me, there's sphinxes as well. You see, you've got to just calm those horses down. Keep moving ahead. Get through with using your kind of your ambition, your discipline, your self-assertion, that kind of drive for victory and conquest, but don't squash everything along the way, essentially. Finally, in the area of helpful tools, things that may be of use this year to keep in mind, and you have the Justice card. Justice will be served. Fundamentally, maybe a really good thing to keep in mind is that shit's all going to work out in the end, you know. This is a card of cause and effect. So if you've been putting in, doing good deeds and good things, it is going to come back and in a really positive way. This is a card about the truth coming out, getting what you deserve, taking responsibility for yourself, knowing that every action we have has a long-term consequence, including spiritual consequence. This is a card too of legal matters, and I think legal matters working out positively. It's a card of balance, of weighing up decisions, needing to make perhaps an important choice, weighing up long-term consequences, and the search for truth. Nobody can hide from the truth. This card encourages the need to be decisive and to come up with a decision, but use kind of sound judgment and calm balance. So I think this is a reminder card that things are going to balance out well this year, even though they may get a bit rough at times. That justice will be served. It's a reminder that there's a cause and effect and kind of karma, really, a karmic kind of cycle of things always. This card is about the law, justice, fairness, truth, positive legal outcomes. So if you do have something legal in the works, chances are it's going to work out well for you. Just to be mindful that she's holding there a sword, and it's a double-edged sword. But, you know, hence you get what you deserve, and that kind of balancing up of the cause and the effect there, and being very mindful of that. Take responsibility for yourself, seek out the truth, be truthful, because it's going to come out either way, you know. So I think this is just a reminder card about that, when you want to kind of give up, or you think, actually I don't think things are going to work out. This card is saying yes, it will, perhaps in the strangest kind of way. Just remember to balance up intuition with your logic, with your head as well. Okay, finally just going into the overall theme card from the Dreamtime Reading Cards deck, can I read from this beautiful little booklet here, Connecting with the Ancient Spirit and Nature of Australia. I'm going to read about the red-bellied black snake, which represents independence. See if this ties in. The red-bellied black snake is a striking, shiny black, venomous snake found in Australia. Its underbelly can be coloured anything from light pink to a deep scarlet red. It prefers to live near bodies of water. The red-bellied black snake is a ferocious mother when it comes to protecting her young, which, unlike most snakes, are birthed alive. Although usually very independent, red-bellied black snakes will often gather while pregnant and help each other defend the next generation. Interesting, some defence cards here. This snake is associated with sisterhood and strength. It also symbolises sexuality, blood and bloodlines. And that's really interesting. I think that's tapping into the wands energy that's coming up for you guys this year. It is also associated with all aspects of the woman, but its presence may be stronger during rites of passage such as first menses, motherhood and menopause. The red-bellied black snake is a link to family. It shows you the beauty of motherhood. The mother's natural instinct is to protect and support her offspring. The snake also represents the wise grandmother and aunt. The red-bellied black snake also asks you to rethink your ideas about independence. Being independent means being responsible for your own actions. That's the Justice card, and making decisions based on what's best for you. The red-bellied black snake reminds you you can be independent and still accept support when it's offered. On that note, I'm going to have to wrap up because I'm running out of time. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this reading, Aquarius. I really hope this year is awesome and wonderful. Hang in there. Pause and reflect if you need to. have faith, because it's all going to work out. Bye.